Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Saturday, so this is going to be the starts and sits video for week 3. So I'm going to be going through all 30 remaining teams, going through essentially all the relevant players. Some of these players may not be relevant depending on your type of league, but I'm going to do starts and sits for each and every one of them, give a little bit of backstory if there's anything that's needed, and then if you guys have any other questions when it comes to starts and sits, be sure to leave them down in the comments. If it's pick 2 out of 3 players, pick 2 out of 4 players, pick 1 out of 4 players, leave it down below. Be sure to leave your scoring format as well, whether it's PPR, half PPR, super flex, standard scoring, anything like that, any important details that you think would be important to answering your question. But with that being said, we'll start off with the Washington football team. We got Taylor Heineke. He's going to be a sit this week. I believe there is probably at least 15 quarterbacks that are better to play than him at this point in time. Antonio Gibson, you can start as a running back too. Just keep in mind he's dealing with a shoulder issue, so he's not going to have a heavy workload. He's probably not going to catch a ton of passes because of that. So if you have two clear better running back options, you can definitely play them at this point in time. But otherwise, mid to low end running back 2 for this week. Then we got J.D. McKissick. He's a flex play in PPR if you need to. Otherwise, you're probably not going to play him. Terry McLaurin is a must-start every week at this point in time. Diami Brown's a sit. Yes, he's playing a lot of snaps, but he's not putting any production out there on the field. Adam Humphries is a sit as well. Logan Thomas is a start, even though it will be a tough matchup going against Matt Milano, who's typically good against tight ends for the Bills. For Washington's defense, you can play them. It's not the best matchup in the world, but it's definitely not the worst either with the way the Bills have been playing. So you can start them, but they're probably on the lower end of defenses you want to start. If there's a better streamer out there, you can definitely go ahead with your better streaming defense this week. And then, like I said in the past, I'm really not going to go over kickers past week 1 unless something really changed. So I don't think there's actually any kicker changes this week in general. So that's kind of nice. And we can kind of probably know what we need to do with kickers at this point in time. Then for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, you're going to start him. You're just going to hope things kind of, this is a get-right game. Hopefully it is a tough matchup. If you have a better streaming option, if you have a second quarterback for some reason that's playing really well, you could play them over Josh Allen. I don't have a problem with that. Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, yes, both these guys had nice weeks last week. They're probably flex plays at best. Probably not guys that I'm comfortable starting this week. Stephon Diggs is a start once again. Manuel Sanders could be a flex play. He's been a little bit better this year than I probably want to give him credit for, but still not somebody I'm comfortable throwing out unless I really have to. Cole Beasley, kind of a flex play just in PPR leagues. Gabriel Davis is a sit. Dawson Knox is a sit. Bills defense, you could throw them out there if you need to. They've been playing pretty well this year. Taylor Heineke, it's only like his 4th career start, so there is some opportunity there. Then we move over to the Chicago Bears, and we got Justin Fields. And I know everybody's talking him up as a top 12 quarterback this week. Yes, he has the rushing upside. But he looked terrible against the Bengals team. And this is a better Browns defense than he played against that Bengals defense. I just don't see it this week. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, you can start him. But in 1-quarterback leagues, I don't really want to go out there and take that shot. I kind of want to see it from him for a week against a competent defense at least. David Montgomery, I do like as a start this week. If you watched last week when Justin Fields was in the game, he got a ton of work. Obviously, they don't fully trust Justin Fields in the passing game at this point in time. Allen Robinson, you can start him. Just keep a little bit of caution. I believe he only had 1 target when Justin Fields was in the game, so we'll just have to see how that all plays out. Darnell Mooney, he's a little banged up with a groin injury. Probably not going to play him, even though he was Justin Fields' favorite target when he did come in the game. Cole Kmet's kind of a stream-worthy tight end at this point in time. Justin Fields being in the game might help him out a little bit. Jimmy Graham's a sit, and then the Bears defense is a sit as well. For the Browns side, we got Baker Mayfield. He could be like a streaming quarterback, but probably not anybody I'm going out of my way to play, especially with his pass catching options kind of being limited, even if Odell Beckham Jr. is back this week. Nick Chubb, you can start him. Kareem Hunt, you probably can start in the flex if you need to. Odell Beckham Jr., he's going to be a sit for me this week unless you really, really need somebody to play. But even then, I'm not super excited about him. Anthony Schwartz, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashard Higgins, any of these other wide receivers, they're all going to be sits for me this week. Austin Hooper, stream-worthy tight end if you need to. David Njoku, Harrison Bryant. In a pinch, you could play them if you're in a super deep league. But other than that, probably going to sit them. Browns defense, I do like as a streaming defense this week against a rookie quarterback making his first career start. Bears offensive line is not the best, and when I look at defenses, I try to target ones that are going against poor offensive lines and generate some pass rush, because sacks are the most predictable stat in terms of defense. Then we move over to the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is a start. Tyson Williams, I think, is a start. Probably a low-end run back too, flex play if you need to. Marquise Brown, I do like starting once again this week. He's been very, very good this season. Sammy Watkins is a sit. Mark Andrews is also a start. Probably not the best matchup in the world for him. The Lions are actually okay against the tight end, Alex Alazone. He's decent in coverage for a linebacker, yes. Did Robert Tonyan get a touchdown last week? Yes. But is a perfect throw by Aaron Rodgers. Otherwise, Tonyan, he had 2 catches the rest of the day. So not a super great matchup there. But the way tight end landscape is kind of this year, I think you just kind of have to keep starting Mark Andrews regardless. Ravens defense, they're kind of beat up. You can still play them. I don't have a problem with it. Lions are not like a high-powered offense by any means, but still not the best matchup in the world the way the Ravens defense have been playing so far. From the Lions side, Jared Goff's going to be a sit. Jamal Williams, I mean, you can play in the flex if you really, really need to. Otherwise, I'm not too excited about him. Then DeAndre Swift, he's start. Throw him in your lineup every single week. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, Quintez Cephas. They're all going to be sits for me this week. You could throw Quintez Cephas out there in a pinch if you really, really need to. Probably not going to get that desperate, though. TJ Hawkinson is a must start, and then the Lions defense is a sit. Then we get over to the Colts, Carson Wentz, Jacob Eason, maybe even Brett Hundley. Whoever the heck ends up starting for the Colts, do not start them. They're going to be a sit. Jonathan Taylor, you can still start. Now, he minds you can throw in a pinch in a PPR league if you really need to. Not too interested in these pass catchers. Paris Campbell looks like he will be back this week, so I'm sitting all 3, especially with the quarterback situation in limbo. Colts tight ends, same thing, sitting all of them. Colts defense, going against the Titans offense, not excited about them either. They haven't played very well this year, so they're going to be a sit as well. So pretty much, if you're looking at the Colts, just start Jonathan Taylor, maybe Nyheim Hines in the PPR flex spot, but that's about it this week. Then for the Titans, I think you can start Ryan Tannehill. Like I said, Colts defense has not looked too good this year. Derrick Henry's a start. A.J. Brown hopefully gets it back together. He's going to be a start every week, regardless, just because his upside's so high. Julio Jones, I do like a lot this week. Titans tight ends, Anthony Ferkster's out once again, so we're going to be setting everybody. Titans defense, you can stream this week if you need to, especially because you either got Carson Wentz playing on 2 bad ankles, or Jacob Eason, Brett Hundley, whoever at quarterback. Yes, the Titans defense isn't very good. They don't generate a whole ton of pressure, but when the quarterback play is potentially going to be as bad as it's going to be, there is some opportunity there. Then we move over to the Chargers starts and sits. Justin Herbert's going to be a start. Austin Eckler's a start. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, they're both starts. Jalen Guyton's going to be a sit. Jared Cook, stream-worthy tight end if you need to go there. Chargers defense is a sit. Pretty straightforward there. 2 potentially high-powered offenses going in a shootout matchup. There is going to be a lot of options in this game. Jalen Guyton, Chargers defense, the kicker. Those are the only ones I'm really not interested in playing this week. So a lot of good options from the Chargers side. Then we move over to the Chiefs. Pretty much the same thing we're going to say every week. Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Start those 4 guys pretty much every single week. Yes, are you afraid because Clyde Edwards-Helaire has not looked the best through 2 weeks? Sure. He looks fine running the ball still. He was dealing with an ankle sprain coming in the year. We knew it. It's going to take some time. He's going to get better. And if he gets involved in this passing game at all, he's really going to take off. McCall Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, not interested in any of those guys. Chiefs defense, same thing. Obviously, you're starting Harrison Butker, the kicker, even though we're not really talking about kickers. So pretty much the 5 guys you're always starting for the Chiefs in general. Then we move over to the Saints. Jameis Winston, he's going to be a sit against the Patriots team. Their defense is pretty good. We've seen what they did last week against Zach Wilson. Jameis Winston's a little bit turnover prone himself, so I wouldn't be surprised if something similar happens like that this week. Alvin Kamara is going to be a start. Tony Jones Jr., for all the hype that he had going in the year, has pretty much been a no-show, so he's going to be a sit. Marquez Callaway, Jawan Johnson, Adam Troutman, all sits. Saints defense, you could throw in a pinch if you really need to, but that's about it. Really, it's Alvin Kamara and nobody else this week for the Saints side. Then on the Patriots side, Mac Jones, He's going to be a set unless you're playing like a 2-quarterback league. Damian Harris, you can play. Just temper your expectations a little bit. The Saints are typically pretty good against the run. James White, you can definitely start in the flex in a PPR league. Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar, your wide receiver 3 flex plays if you really need to. Johnny Smith, Hunter Henry, you can start them if you really want to, if there's nobody else better out there. But they really haven't done a lot this year, honestly. Patriots defense, you can definitely start, especially with Jameis Winston and some of those turnover problems that he has had in the past. Then we get over to the Atlanta Falcons. I have no interest in starting Matt Ryan once again. Pretty much said this all year. I think I had him as like my quarterback 22 on the week. It's just not getting me excited at all. Matt Ryan, the cliff is there. It's really, really there. People just need to admit it already. Mike Davis, yeah, you can start probably as a low-end running back too, a flex play if you really need to. Just doesn't get me too excited though. I understand if you have no better options, you can play him. Definitely makes sense. Cordell Patterson, everybody's kind of hot waiver wire pickup of the week. He's just a flex play at best for me, honestly. Hopefully he gets a little bit more receiving work with Russell Gage out in this game. Honestly, I don't know. I don't trust on it being there. Calvin Ridley's going to be a start. Kyle Pitts is a start. Hayden Hurst is actually a sneaky DFS play now with Russell Gage out. I think he could get some work in the middle of the field. Against the linebackers, they aren't the best in coverage, but in a redraft type of setting, Dynasty League, a weekly setting that you're not playing Hayden Hurst most of the time, you're just probably not going to play him again, honestly. Falcons defense is a sit as well. Then for the Giants, I think Daniel Jones is a fine streaming quarterback this week. It's one of the best matchups you can go against. Saquon Barkley's a start as well. Sterling Shepard's a start. Kenny Galladay, he's questionable. He's been living in practice kind of with a hip injury as well. I think you can start him. But if you have a better option, you can just go with your better option and not risk that potential, being banged up and everything. If he somehow does not play, Darius Slayton would be a start, though. I do think that has a ton of value there. Evan Ingram, if he does end up playing, I think he's a fine streaming tight end this week, especially with Atlanta's track record against tight ends in recent years. Giants defense, I think you can definitely start them off like I already talked about. Matt Ryan kind of falling off that pseudo cliff. Then we get over the Bengals, and it's really, really condensed this week. Joe Burrow, he's going to be a set for me. Joe Mixon's a start. Tyler Boyd's a start. Jamar Chase is a start. There is no T. Higgins in this game. We're going to see some Mike Thomas, some Auden Tate, and 3 wide receiver sets. Those guys don't get me excited. Probably not even playing those guys in DFS, to be honest, so you should not be playing them in your redraft type of setting either. CJ Uzoma, you could play him as like a streaming tight end if you really want to, but Pittsburgh's been pretty tough against tight ends, even though he could see a couple more targets with T. Higgins missing. But I'm not going there unless I'm really desperate. Bengals defense is going to be a sit. Then for the Steelers, we got Ben Roethlisberger. It's a good matchup for him. I think you can play him in 2-quarterback league, but 1-quarterback league, pec injury and all. Don't really feel like playing Ben Roethlisberger. Najee Harris, he's going to be a start. Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, I think you can start both them this week. Then we got Eric Ebron, Pat Freiermuth. They both could see a little bit more work this week, but not really comfortable starting either one of them at this point in time. Steelers defense, you could still start. They are still a pretty good defense. And the Bengals team has been, a little prone to giving up sacks and turnovers as well. Then we move over to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not interested in starting Trevor Lawrence. He's looked terrible this year. Yes, he's the number 1 overall pick. All these people that wanted to label him generational, just hold your horses. He's still a rookie, still a good quarterback, but not this generational label. Without going that down too much of a rabbit hole, I truly believe there's only been 2 generational quarterbacks coming out of college, and that was Peyton Manning and John Elway. I don't even throw Andrew Luck in that generational conversation myself. Generational means you're supposed to be the best quarterback in the last 10 to 20 years. And we're not even sure Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in his class. Andrew Luck might not even been the best quarterback in his class, coming out with RG3 and Russell Wilson. Just not trying to dig down too deep of a rabbit hole there, though. James Robinson, I think you can play in your flex spot in a pinch if you really, really need to. Otherwise, not too excited about him. Carlos Hyde's a sit. DJ Chark's a sit. Laviska Shenault's a sit. It is a good matchup if they can put some points up against this Arizona team, but I just haven't seen it. I don't trust the coaching staff at this point in time. Marvin Jones is the only one I'm trusting, honestly, because he's been there. He's been consistent. He's the clear number 1 target for Trevor Lawrence at this point in time, which I said going into the year was going to be the case. Everybody kind of want to throw me under the bus for saying that, but we've seen it happen, and it's true. So we got Jaguars tight ends. Not excited about them. James O'Shaughnessy is on IR now. I know a couple people liked him last week. I was not one of those people, but that's a whole nother story. Jacob Hollister could make his Jaguars debut today. Maybe he becomes a streaming tight end in time, but not anything we want to play this week. Jaguars defense is a sit because they're terrible and they play a high-powered Cardinals team this week. Then on the Cardinals side, we're going to be starting pretty much most of these guys, honestly. Kyler Murray's going to be a start. Chase Edmonds, I think he's more of a flex play this week. I'm not super excited about him just because I don't think there's going to be a lot of passing game work there. I think they're going to be leading pretty early. Lean on the run a little bit later on, which probably favors James Conner. It could be a 16-touch game for him, kind of like week 1. James Conner you could throw in as a flex play. Just kind of depends on what your team roster looks like, what type of league you're in as well. DeAndre Hopkins dealing with a rib issue. He might not play this game, and they might just rest him because they don't really need him to win this game. So that is a possibility out there. If he plays, you start him. If he doesn't play, obviously you sit him. AJ Green's going to be a sit unless DeAndre Hopkins doesn't play. Then maybe you could roll them out there as a wide receiver 3, flex play type of option. Rondale Moore, I'm going to start him this week, honestly. I have a decision on my own team, actually one of my own teams, where I'm between Marvin Jones and Rondale Moore, and it's a decision I don't like to make because I like both guys quite a bit. I'm kind of looking at leaning Rondale Moore at this point in time. We got Christian Kirk. I think he's a wide receiver 3 flex play type of guy. If DeAndre Hopkins doesn't play, it definitely boosts his value as well. Max Williams, you're going to sit him. I just don't trust what happened last week with Max Williams. It was a nice week for him, but I want to see him back-to-back weeks out of him before I really start to trust that. Cardinals defense, definitely a great streaming defense this week. Then we move over to the Jets, and we got Zach Wilson. He's going to be a sit. Obviously, we know he had that terrible game last week. I think he'll come out and play better this week. There was a lot of things that went wrong, a lot of things that helped cause some of those interceptions as well. The Jets running backs, Tevin Coleman is out in this game with an illness. So we got Michael Carter and Ty Johnson being the main 2 guys in this backfield. They pretty much split the workload last week in terms of snaps. I think this is actually going to be Michael Carter's kind of coming out party. I think he's a sneaky play in GPPs for DFS. And I don't think I'm going to play him in redraft yet, but it's getting close, honestly. And after this week, you may feel comfortable with him going forward. So hopefully if you drafted him, he's still on your team. If he's out there on waivers, probably want to pick him up because this is the week where it could really start. The wheels could really start turning for him, honestly. Corey Davis, I think you can start. It's going to be a tough matchup, but he's probably like wide receiver 3, flex play at best. Elijah Moore, not excited about. He's going to be a sit. Braxton Berrios has actually played really well so far. In the deepest of leagues, you can play him, but otherwise probably still going to sit him. Keelan Cole, didn't see much out of him in his return to the lineup last week. Jamison Crowder's doubtful again this week, so it's unlikely he plays. Tyler Kroft is going to be a sit. Jets defense is a sit. Then on the Broncos side, I think Teddy Bridgewater could be a streamable quarterback this week. I hate to admit it because I am not a big Teddy Bridgewater fan, but he's looked fine so far this year. Over 20 points 2 straight weeks in a row and 6 point per passing touchdown leagues. Jets defense is not very good in general. Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, I think you can start both these guys this week. Running back 2s, flex plays if you need to. Cortland Sutton had a great week too. I would not be surprised if that continues in week 3. You can definitely start him. Tim Patrick, you can start in a pinch if you need to. Wide receiver 3, flex play. KJ Hamler's a sit, Noah Fant's a start, and then the Broncos defense is a start as well. Get over to the Dolphins, and I do have Tua listed here still. Tua is not going to be playing in this game. He's out with his rib injury, so it's going to be Jacoby Brissett. I mentioned last night on the Point After podcast, I don't really think there's this big drop-off is perceived going from Tua to Jacoby Brissett. I think there's pretty similar quarterbacks, honestly, if I'm being honest. I know a lot of people love Tua. I am not one of those people, but I don't think Jacoby Brissett's as bad as everybody wants to make him out to be either. So maybe this is even better for the offense. We'll just have to see. But Jacoby Brissett's going to be a set either way. Myles Gaskin, I do like quite a bit, actually, in this matchup. I think he's going to get some dump-off passes. I think he's really going to be involved this week. So he's going to be a start. Jalen Waddle's going to be a sit for me. Devontae Parker's a sit. Will Fuller, strangely enough, if I really need to, I'm willing to start as a wide receiver 3 flex play if I need to. Great play in DFS. DraftKings $4,700 there. FanDuel, I think he's $5,400 or $5,500. So interesting one there. Mike Gesicki, not super interested in him. He's going to be a sit. He's just He's too much like a roller coaster for me. I never get on board with Mike Gesicki, personally. Dolphins defense, they're going to be a sit for me. Like I said earlier this year, I think they were just due for major regression, and it's kind of shown so far throughout the season. Then on the Raiders side, Derek Carr, I think he's a streamable quarterback this week. Kenyon Drake, you can play as a low-end running back 2, flex play in PPR type of leagues. Don't expect too much volume from him in the actual running game, though. Henry Ruggs, Hunter Renfrow, Bryan Edwards. Not super excited about any of these three. They're going to all be sits for me. Darren Waller is a start. Raiders defense you can use as a streaming defense this week if you need to. Then for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we got Tom Brady. He's going to be a start. Both the running backs are kind of sits for me at this point in time, honestly. It's just a split backfield. We don't really know who's going to be the guy week to week. So until we really see that, not really interested in starting either one of them unless I'm a team with a banged up running back, a zero RB strategy where I have to play them. Mike Evans. Don't listen to all the media telling you to fade Mike Evans this week. That's a major mistake. Jalen Ramsey's not going to be on him the whole game. Jalen Ramsey's actually played like 70% of his snaps out of the slot. That's going to affect Chris Godwin a lot more than it's going to affect Mike Evans. Play Mike Evans. Antonio Brown's probably not going to play in this game at this point in time. So Mike Evans does get that extra boost from that. He did score a touchdown going against Jalen Ramsey last year at the goal line, so I'm not afraid of Jalen Ramsey, even if he does cover Mike Evans. Chris Godwin, you can still start. He's probably going to see Jalen Ramsey most of the time, but he's still Chris Godwin. He's still a good wide receiver. Antonio Brown's going to be sick. Looks like he's going to be out on the COVID list. Rob Gronkowski is a start. I do like this matchup a lot for Gronk. The Rams linebackers are probably some of the worst at actually covering the tight ends. So I talked about it a little bit last night, but it's not going to be pretty for them. Buccaneers defense. Yes, they have a good defense. The Rams have a good offense, so I'm going to be setting them this week. Then for the Rams, we got Matthew Stafford. He's going to be a start. Tampa Bay's been giving up yards. They've been giving up points to opposing quarterbacks. Darrell Henderson dealing with the rib issue. He is questionable play, so I'm going to be setting him. Even if he doesn't play, I'm still not going to play Sonny Michel. He's still going to be a set against the top run defense in the league. Or it's probably one of the top run defenses. I don't know if it's the exact top at this point in time. But, for the past 2 years, they've been the best run defense. Then for Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, they're both going to be starts. Deshaun Jackson, a DFS flyer if you need to go there. Van Jefferson's not anybody I'm willing to start this week. Tyler Higbee, I think you could start in a pinch if you need to. Rams defense is going to be a sit. Then we have the Seattle Seahawks, and I think you could honestly start a lot of guys in this game. Russell Wilson's going to be a start. Chris Carson's a start. DK Metcalf, kind of expecting a little bit of bounce back week from him. He's going to be a start. Tyler Lockett's a start. Freddie Swain in the deepest of the leagues in a pinch you could start if you really need to. But if you're not, you don't have to start him. But clear wide receiver 3 at this point, and he's going to be involved a little bit. Gerald Everett, Will Disley, don't trust either one of them. They're both going to be sits. This is going to be a shootout, so Seahawks defense is also a sit. For the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, I think you can start once again. Dalvin Cook, if he plays, you start him. If he doesn't play, Alexander Madison, probably a low-end running back 2, flex play if you need to. And then, honestly, I think you can start all 3 Vikings wide receivers this week. Justin Jefferson's got a great matchup. Adam Thielen, a little bit tougher matchup, but he's still Adam Thielen. KJ Osborne has a great matchup in the slot against these Seattle slot corners who have not been very good this year. So they're all going to be starts for me, unless you're in if you're in a super shallow league, you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex. Maybe then you don't start KJ Osborne, but that's probably going to be about it. If you're in a 3 wide receiver league with a flex spot, you're probably going to be rolling them out there, honestly. Then Tyler Conklin's a sit. Vikings defense is a sit as well. Then we move over to the Sunday night football game, and we got the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams. Those 3 you're starting every week. A.J. Dillon's going to be a sit. Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS, are all sits as well. Those are pretty easy ones. Then we got Robert Tonyan. He's going to be a sit. And the 49ers have historically been very good against the tight end position last few years. And Tonyan, I don't trust the volume that he's getting. He got lucky last week with the touchdown. Unless he gets lucky again with the touchdown this week, he's not going to pay off for your teams. Packers defense, they're not looking very good. Joe Barry's not a good defensive coordinator, so they're going to be a sit as well. Then on the 49ers side, gets a little bit ugly, honestly. We got Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to be a sit. it's still just Jimmy G. Like, he's an okay quarterback. You can play him in 2 quarterback leagues if you need to. Trey Sermon could be the lead running back this week. He is apparently past concussion protocol. Not sure exactly how that happened, but it is what it is at this point. Elijah Mitchell, doubtful to play with that shoulder injury, so we'll see if he's out there or not. If he is, then it kind of ruins everything. If he isn't, then Trey Sermon is a guy you could start as a running back 2 flex play if you need to. But, this is the 49ers backfield. Just when you think you got to figure it out and it looks like one guy should go off, somebody else always goes off. So just keep that in mind. The other running backs they do have is Trent Cannon and Jaquez Patrick. They got from the Cincinnati Bengals practice squad this week. Both those guys haven't been with the team very long, so it'd be interesting to see how much they actually get used. Brandon Ayuk, he's still a sit this week, but I would not be surprised if this is the week that he comes back and he gets it all right. With that being said, don't feel comfortable starting him, but I would not be surprised if that does happen. I think Deebo Samuel, you can start once again. He's off to a pretty hot start this season. George Kittle, I think this is probably his big coming out game as well. Packers have not been good against that tight end position so far this year. 49ers defense, they're going against the Packers, so they're not going to be a defense that you want to start this week, but most of the season you're probably going to want to start them. Then we moved to Monday Night Football, and we got the Eagles. We got Jalen Hurts. He's going to be a start. Miles Sanders is a start kind of as a running back, too. I think it's a decent matchup for him, especially with the way the line is banged up for the Cowboys on the defensive side of the football. Kenneth Gainwell, I know everybody loves him. They're hyping him up, but he's not somebody you should be starting on a weekly basis. Devonta Smith, he's going to start. Jalen Reagor, in a pinch, you could start if you really need to, but I'm not really trusting him at this point. Zach Ertz was on the COVID list earlier this week, just came off today. He's going to be a sit for me. I think you could still probably play Dallas Goedert. We've seen him a little bit more used than Zach Ertz so far this year. Zach Ertz has been kind of dealing with that hamstring, now the COVID issue, so Dallas Goedert's still in play for me. I think he's a top 12 tight end this week. Then we got the Eagles defense. They are going to be a sit for me. Just the Cowboys offense is pretty good in general. Then we move over to the Cowboys. We got Dak Prescott. He's going to be a start. You're pretty much just starting Dak Prescott every week. There's going to be some rough weeks like last week where things just don't go well, but you just got to kind of, take your losses where you get them. He's going to be better more times than not. Ezekiel Elliott's going to be a start. Tony Pollard, yeah, everybody's excited for him. Hot waiver wire pickup of the week and everything. I honestly think last week was more of a fluke than anything. He had a couple good long runs that really boosted his value, but not anybody you want to start at this point in time unless you're super desperate. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, you're going to start both of them. Cedric Wilson, he came into that wide receiver 3 role. We didn't really see much out of him last week, so he's still a sit. Both tight ends are a sit at this point in time, and Cowboys defense is a sit. But with that being said, that is the quick little rundown on all 30 teams, starts and sits for each one. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. And once again, if you do have any other start-sit questions, please leave them down in the comments below. Be sure to leave the scoring format and kind of like type of league too as well, if it's super flex or tight end premium or anything like that. Any little details you think I should know when answering the question. But if you guys do that, I will respond to your questions. I will answer them as soon as possible. And I'm really excited for week 3. I hope each and every one of you wins your matchups this week. Myself, I've been doing pretty well in fantasy so far. I got a couple of teams that are 1-1, but most of my teams are 2-0 so far. Hopefully we can keep this streak going, and it's really been a pretty good 2021 season so far, and I hope it has been for each and every one of you watching this video as well. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that is truly for you, the viewer, helping you guys with your fantasy football lineups, helping you with DFS, whether it's NFL or NBA, talking all the different football news as it does come out. And then as we get closer to the 2022 NFL draft, talking some 2022 NFL draft prospects. And with that being said, if you are new or current subscribers yet to do so, also hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. If you guys aren't familiar with my channel, I post up 6 videos a week. Monday's the top performers, Tuesday's waiver wire. Wednesday is the starts and sits for the Thursday night football matchup. Thursday is the single game DFS showdown slate for the Thursday night football matchup. Friday is the dollar store stack. So they're the cheap quarterbacks that you can stack with wide receivers or tight end options to open up some value in DFS for the main slate. Friday night, I'm on the Point After podcast where we look at some Monkey Knife Fight. We look at single game slates for the Sunday and Monday night football games. You can find that on the TNFF network. Link is down in the description below. And then Saturday, which is today, obviously is the starts and sits for all the remaining matchups on the week. But, very excited for week 3. I wish each and every one of you the best this week in week 3. Let's get some 3-0 teams out there. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.